How much time do you realize that you pause to figure out how to move forward? I've been realizing within the last couple of days of just how much time I'm wasting. And it's not even through scrolling, which sometimes I do get caught up scrolling, but I have this freedom and I'm working on this business. I'm working on growing another business. And I'm finding myself, because it is more of a sole proprietor, single, self-employed venture, that there's no accountability. And I haven't been doing my due diligence to make goals. I haven't been setting a structure and a daily system or a schedule in the attempts of allowing myself that freedom that I also crave. Now, I do make a list. I have my to-get dones. Yet, I've realized that in the 24 hours a day, there's really not a whole lot getting done. And so I started reflecting and going back to well, what is it that I'm actually doing all day? Because I'm sitting at the computer, or I'm sitting at the office, or I have realized that I end up at the gym for a few hours, at least an hour, but that's only an hour. And so I'm like, well, what is it? What is it that I'm doing? What is taking up most of my day? And one of the biggest things that I've realized is the amount of power that I have to procrastinate and my rationalizations of why I need to do certain things prior to doing other things. My priorities are totally not in check. And so I've been reading this book that I've had on my shelf for the last couple years. And I'm not 100% sure if I ever read it before, but at least going through it now, each chapter is bringing up new ideas, new layers of that jawbreaker, if you will, that even if I had read it before, I'm in such a completely different place now that these words are hitting a little differently. Now, I can't quite say the name, but this is the book that I'm talking about. And within this book, Gary Bishop has done a very nice job of giving us those tidbits of information. There were super bite-sized chapters. It's not one of those books that you have to start from the beginning and work your way to the end. If you're one of those that likes to just open up a book and start reading where you are, it's one of those books. So whatever chapter you end up landing on, read that for the day. Let that be the lesson for the day or the week or whatnot. I've been slowing down, if you've been watching any of my previous videos. So slowing down and really embodying and taking in the lessons or the tasks or tools, whatever you want to call it, the new information that I have been coming across, I have decided to read this book one chapter a day. And sometimes the chapters really resonate, or that day brings up something that resonates with the chapter. Me coming into this awareness about how much I waste time has been a reflection from the past couple chapters that I've read of this Gary Bishop book. One of the chapters being, I embrace the uncertainty. That's pretty much the same thing as saying getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's taking those steps forward and knowing that no change can be done without making a choice, without making an action, a decision into stepping into whatever direction you're shooting for. And while it's really easy to say that, and it's really easy to connect that into the head, to actually embody it and to jump on those inspired thoughts as they come, can sometimes that rational thinking, especially if you're unaware of it, can take hold and get you in a weird little whirlwind. It's very interesting to me how often this has been occurring without me really realizing it. It's that subconscious doing what the subconscious likes to do and flow with its repetitive, comfortable patterns, which we all have. Our subconscious runs, I think, 90% of our lives. So bringing in that awareness, bringing in that focus of really being present with how and what the mind is going through makes a big difference as you're trying to start something new. And like I said, with this new business idea, with this new venture that I'm trying, it's me, myself, and I. And so there's no accountability coming in, nobody coming to check up on me. I have full reins of pushing forward with what I want to do. And this has been the reoccurring theme for the last couple years. And although the other things that I have jumped into have had a little bit more structure, have had a little bit more of a plan to follow, they were all side stepping stones from actually doing what it is that I'm doing now, which is this, talking with you guys, sharing the tidbits of what I've been learning. Even though I don't really know exactly how this is gonna go, which that's what's been holding me up for so long, is I thought that I had to figure it out. Like, how can I just come talk to the camera? Well, I mean, clearly, I think we're on video 25 now, and while I've noticed in my editings that there's a lot of just rambling, each video is getting a little bit better. So that momentum is starting to pick up. And while I think it was literally a year that I really just sat back and I was all up in my head. I was all up thinking about how it was going to work out, what I was going to talk about. Writing it down, I never spoke it out loud, but I was writing it down in a journal. But it still wasn't, I believe journaling it definitely helped, but it still wasn't getting anything done. Like, it was getting it out, but it wasn't putting that action to work. I wasn't going back to what I wrote down and making a plan out of what I had written down, because the next day I started getting a new idea and a new inspiration to move in another direction, which I can't say that I'm not still easily inspired or easily influenced. I can say now that I have made the decision and made the choice to stick with following through with this venture, it's still a daily remembrance. It's still something that I get to come back to whenever I have those moments of I just don't really want to, or self-doubt, like, where is this really going? Why I haven't seen any evidence of this. And that's where that faith comes in. The next chapter of my fancy book, the next chapter of the book that really started to resonate with me, which speaks on, I am not my thoughts, but I am what I do. And now, like I said in another video, people in the self-improvement, personal development, knowledge area are all pretty much saying the same things, but the way that they put their little bit of a twist and their own authenticity on it can just make it spring alive for different people, and especially in different portions of different people's lives. Like I said, if I have read this book before, because it's been on my shelf for a couple years, I'm pretty sure I have, it hit differently back then than how it is now. And I've noticed this in other articles of information, whether it be videos that I rewatch, books that I reread. Repeating information always hits a little bit differently as time goes on, as I am practicing the different techniques and ideals that I've come across. So with Mr. Gary Bishop talking about, I am not my thoughts, I am what I do, he speaks about pretty much that self-doubt, that whole, I am not my feelings, what I think is not who I am. Of course we're gonna have shitty days. We're gonna have those thoughts and those feelings of like, I just don't feel like it today. I don't feel like I am so-and-so. I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And that's honestly just part of the human process. I would bet to believe that there's not one person who is, without masking, who is 100% positive, just full force, knows exactly who they are and what they're going to achieve without them already achieving it. Doubt is just something that creeps up into all of our minds. And no matter where it comes from, it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define where you're going in life. You get to make the choice and you get to make the decision of what you're going to do moving forward. Now, I can say for me, whenever I first was working through these doubts, it was almost even unrecognizable of what was occurring. I didn't realize that I had such a spiral of doom going on. So many self-critical, negative, doubting, worrying thoughts just spiraling. As I was speaking earlier in this video of just the fact of how much time I'm realizing now that I'm wasting without moving forward, it's minimum compared to what it was just a year or a few months back. It's all a process, and it's always peeling off those layers, licking through the different ideals that we have within ourselves. And it's not until you start that momentum that the layers start revealing themselves. It's not until you start taking action that you start uncovering things that you didn't even know were possible or that were occurring. Getting curious with yourself, getting curious with life, getting curious with how things are working. Now that I'm becoming more aware, and again, we're right back into this, coming back kind of to the basics, coming back to that problem that I've already dealt with, that I've already seen before, but now we're in another phase of it where I am recognizing it a little bit sooner. And now, instead of just surface leveling, pushing through it, I'm taking the time. I'm recognizing the steps to break out of this pattern. The question is am I going to take the correct steps to better benefit myself? Slowly but surely, that is half of it. When it comes to these videos, I'm clearly pretty new. I'm clearly fresh off the boat when it comes to recording, having a system, editing. And while I'm getting comfortable with it and I'm starting to recognize new things, different ways that I could improve it, I also realize that there's extra steps that I get to take in order to make these improvements. The challenge lies in that understanding that it is necessity to take that little bit of extra time to make those extra steps to create better content. And while I know this, I also know that my perfectionism has kept me stuck in the past. And so while I am slightly pushing through and just making sure that I have some kind of action occurring, I can also tell you that the emotion that arises when I get into the editing phase and things aren't as good as I know that they could be is nothing more than just a motivator to, again, take that little bit of extra time to take the extra steps to create the better organization and better structure for a better video format. While we are in the beginning phases, and I say this during a recording session that was slightly taken care of in that planned manner. I mean, I do have my point of reference with me. All I can say is that I know as time goes on, and the more practice and the more I allow myself to take the extra little time, the more it's going to become natural. The less time that it's actually going to take to do these little simple extra steps, and it's not going to feel like such a burden. And while even before this video, I caught myself almost in a conversation within myself about wanting to push it off, wanting to push the day's video until tomorrow and just do editing or something else. And the amount of excuses that came up during this internal conversation almost won until I remembered this book and the first couple chapters of its awarenesses. Another one being, I am wired to win. And within whatever direction you are thinking, you are correct. So my competitiveness, I'm going to wire myself to win in the direction that I have chosen to go. Even if there are many setbacks or failures that cause a person to fail forward, I'm still moving in a direction that is not where I have currently been. Moving is the only way that you can start to see any change. Taking that action, making those decisions, and taking the action on them is the only way that anything can change. And who knows? Anything is possible. Anything can occur once you get the ball rolling. So, with that, I just want to say, if you have caught yourself taking extra time to really put the foot down to make the move on what it is you've been wanting to work on, or making those changes that you know would be more beneficial in your life, know it's all a process. Know that we're all in this together. We all get to enjoy the process and the journey within it. Yet, remember that you are the only one who can make the difference. You are the only one who gets to make that choice. While it may not seem like the end of the world today, you never know when that last day could occur. You never know what's right around the corner. And especially if you've been working and doing what you need to do for a while and you feel like you still haven't seen anything, you just never know what is waiting for you on the other side. So give yourself some grace. And if nothing else, check in with yourself. Ask yourself and maybe become aware of more of your inner stories. What is it? What is the inner dialogue that you've got going on that is causing you to pause and procrastinate before actually moving forward? I'd love to hear it in the comments. So if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Save this video so you can come back and let me know how it goes. Let me know what little story that you come up with, what little setback your subconscious has got you stressing about. Until next time.